Sorry, anime reference again.
Anime reference, but you know what? That's what brings you joy. That's what brings you the happiness. So this is
So I'm
all those days.
too much of a weeb.
Hey lovely humans, it's me Shayanne, and today on another episode of Safe Spaces we have Lost Spaces.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
And he's coming from all the way in our neighbor country, which is Malaysia.
Yeah.
So hey neighbor, how have you been?
I've been good. Pretty eventful weekend as well. And so much fun. I really love Singapore. So I love the accessibility of the public transport and everything. Yeah, I mean I enjoyed strolling. Weather's been quite good too. It's I mean it did rain a bit, but it's kind of still cloudy enough for you to get around. So yeah.
Imagine if it was hot, peak Singapore summer period where you're just sweating, you walk into an aircon and suddenly you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool time. It's a
good time, yeah. I've been here when it was blazing hot and I'm like,
yeah, no, you have to wear a singlet, the FBT shorts come out and then suddenly everyone has hand fans. Yeah, it's the worst. But yes, you're here to perform for Music Matter Live and I'm sure that it has been a lovely experience so far. So tell me a bit about it.
I think 2019 was a pretty big year and I played Good Vibes, I played Urbanscapes, which was all the biggest festivals in Malaysia, and in Feb of 2020 I was supposed to come and open for Monsters and Men at Fort Canning. So that was I finally get to play outside of KL and I was so excited for it. The boys were so excited for it. Then there was some health problem.
Oh no.
They cancelled the rest of the tour and then later on it was actually COVID.
It's always
and then
COVID.
Everything closed down, the whole world shut off, right? Because it was just I finally get to do something I always wanted, which is come out and play somewhere else that's not my home. So now I feel this weekend was just a rectifying of that and more. Because there's so much more, there's more music, there's new music. I think I've grown as a person, as an artist as well. 3 years later, just so glad to be here. And it was so much fun actually, the set as well. So
we love that. And you know what? You really have grown as an artist, and I'm actually very curious. How has the music making process been for you, over the years and currently now?
Yeah. So when I first started Lost Spaces, I didn't want to show my face. I didn't want people to even know that there was a person existing. I mean, of course, if there's music, then I'm not AI, right? So, but I wanted to kind of hide behind a very artistic facade of blurred faces or animated figures. The music I made was naturally always very bandy because I grew up with a lot of band influences. And I also played drums, I played piano, bass, guitar. So I always had to write in that manner. I presented it as a band at first, and then I worked with a producer and we wrote the first few albums together, the first album and the first EP, and that was I guess the developing of the sound.
Right.
And over the years, of course, I produced myself, but I wasn't confident to go full on in on it during the lockdown. So just now I said it robbed that opportunity from me, but what it did give during the lockdown was just me being able to sit down and level up on my production and have confidence making decisions, trusting my taste, trusting my songwriting, trusting my story. That sort of built up to, of course, I put out 2 singles during the lockdown on my own that I've self-produced, and then Occupy is the first one that I just all in, did everything myself, and I was really proud of it and really happy to see how far I grew from someone that was so timid to even call himself a producer to now saying I actually wrote an album that tells the story of a part of my life. Yes, because I think when you make music and when you produce or even when you songwrite, the thing that holds a lot of people back, and even myself for the longest time, was the second guessing.
Right.
And also you see feedback when your song goes out and people respond to it, and then it just becomes easier for sure. So that's been the journey, that's been the process. Process always happens maybe in 2 facets.
Right.
I know a lot of other creators that tend to write the whole song on an instrument first and then bring it into the studio, and some that just make beats and then top line on it. But I like to do both. Sometimes I would just have a chorus melody already, and then that becomes the basis of the song. Sometimes I'm just tinkering down with different sounds on Ableton and finding out different palettes that I was what can trigger a song?
Yeah, I think you really learned how to navigate your own space in music, and I think that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I love your music. Like genuinely, I'm a legit fan. Like, and I wanna really ask you this question because sometimes I feel like your music is very much like organic. There's a lot of organic sounds.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it also transcends to a bit of a dreamy, like dreamscape sort of like vibe. So would you say your music is a bit more grounded in day-to-day experiences, or is it more out of this world?
I think it's a mix of both because I think for me, music has always been an escape.
Right.
When I started doing this full time, of course, when it becomes your job, then you kind of feel like, oh, I need to do this to get X results. And I think that was when I leaned more into the escapism for sure. And I think I write a lot about, especially in this record, about dreams. Thinking of a world that like this good thing would have happened, or thinking of a world that that bad thing happened and I'm just coping with. And I think it sort of alternates with that. And also the grounding of in the present time of the stories of the actual thing that happened. So for No Vacancy, it was me saying, I'm so jaded with dating.
Right.
Technically a mini rant about like dating culture and your Tinders. And I think back then we didn't have Bumble yet, but like it was a whole idea that we have relegated dating to just a superficial,
like swipe.
Oh, he's cute, he's not, she's not. Like, you know, and it's like a, so No Vacancy was me like, I don't really believe in love anymore. And then I tell a story of a metaphorical hotel, which is a representation of my heart. So in the artwork, it says like, it like looks there, no vacancy. That's why I'm like, but then at the end, I'm like, okay, you gotta let your heart win, despite all the pain it might bring. So I kind of end on I ran. Yeah, there is like a love song in between where I think I find the. Like 35mm is that where like I think I find the love, and then after that it all comes down. So and then I end with like it's okay. Just let your heart win.
We try. It's very interesting to know like the whole process and like your thought process through like stuff down to your MV, down to like the lyrics, to the whole album. I think it's beautiful. I think
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
In the vein of love and relationships, a fun little question: what is the perfect date?
Perfect date.
In an age where love is almost dead.
I'm quite a simple guy.
Right.
So I love anime. So if we get pizza and we watch anime at home, that's perfect to me already.
That's like perfect. Like, that's the perfect day in.
But if it's a day out, I do like exploring like art galleries and I also like a hiking date.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a very different like turn.
Yes, it's turns, but like for me, because I like the outdoors and the nature side of things, but I also like to stay inside. So like it's a weird duality that I have.
Some days you wake up, you're like, okay, shall we do this?
I'm gonna take on the world. The next day I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay in and watch One Piece.
That sounds absolutely splendid.
That's my favorite.
Singaporean men out there, this is the perfect date.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it works because I did like date a Singaporean for a while. So.
Oh, you see, these are the tips. Bear that in mind. But yeah, on the topic of like love, relationships, like we move on to like the broader things in life. An artist actually asked me this in a previous interview that I did. He asked me what happiness means to me. So I'm gonna pose this question back at you.
Oh wow!
Because I think that this is such a great question. What does happiness
it is a
mean
great
to
question. Damn. So I think for me, what happiness has become is the ability to be freely who you are and find your place in the world. And I think that's what Lost Space is when I created the whole idea of my songs, and it was me trying to put my music out. It almost felt like a letter to the people out there.
Right.
Lost Spaces. I want to be understood. I'm lost. So it was I think a very honest moment for me where I came from a place of I don't know where I fit. So why don't I put out music so I can find my place in the world?
Wow.
I think that like the pursuit of that is actually happiness. So like the fact that I'm able to wake up and make music and have people connect, I think that gives a lot of satisfaction and a lot of joy.
Thank you so much, Sam. It's been absolutely amazing.
No,
I really enjoyed this
me.
conversation. And I hope that you find your happiness.
No, likewise. I hope you do too.
I'll start crying. Why are you doing this to me? See you soon, and we can't wait to see your music journey.
Thank you so much.